Hello, hello. My name is Linda, also known as Tortajala around the internet. I love creative journaling and all things stationery. So, as I was getting ready to dive into my 2025 memory keeping notebook, I had to put away my huge 2024 notebook, and I just thought it would be fun to share the past couple of years of my memory keeping documentation, and they are all in A5 notebooks, but all different brands that I have tried. So for 2024, I used the Midori MD paper, one day, one page. For 2023, the Hobonichi cousin. And for 2022, I actually used the Kinbor A5 daily, but only for half the year. And then I switched into a Good Ink Impressions weekly booklet for the second half of the year. So all of these are all very like chunky because I add photos and ephemera and it does get a bit out of hand, but I do very much enjoy having these, and my kids now are old enough to actually flip through and they actually care about the documentation, so I'm definitely more motivated than ever to keep up this kind of memory keeping, even though I have been scrapbooking for many, many years, but just sort of like in different forms, formats, trying different things. But for these past couple of years, it's always been A5 notebooks. And I wanted to show you some examples because I think it's interesting to note how my memory keeping has changed over time and also learning my own preferences and how that has informed what I choose like year to year and what I have chosen for 2025 as well. So just going back to 2022, I used the Kinbor A5 Daily Planner. You can see that the book block is holding up, but it's sort of separated from the cover material. But that could be because I took out half of the pages in this book. I cut them out. So it's only January to June daily pages. So doing that could have messed up the integrity of this notebook. But you could see it's really just like the cover because it's like the cover's too big for the text block, like half the text block in it. And I can't remember if I had done anything else, but yeah, the actual pages though of the book are sewn together, and of course everything's held up even though it is very chunky. But just something to note because the binding of the cover. It is different, like when you compare it side by side to a Hobonichi or an MD paper notebook. But I'm going to go in and just show you different examples of pages to sort of describe what I have noticed about my own memory keeping, I guess, tendencies. Because looking back in this 2022 memory keeping notebook, I have noticed that I did a lot of writing, like journaling, as well as the pictures and ephemera. And it's probably because this was a dated notebook. And so I had to do a day a page. And sometimes it meant it would be a photo or it would be like really long form journaling to like fill up the page or ephemera and deco and things like that. Again, to fill up either a page or like a spread because they were dated. So it's something that I realized that there are like filler pages, quote unquote, because these are dated pages. So even if there wasn't a photo to add for that page, I would have to come up with, something to put on that page. So there's definitely a huge variety when it comes to like the entries in this kind of type of memory keeping notebook that is dated. So for the second half of the year, I actually moved into a Good Ink Impressions booklet, and it had a weekly layout. So after trying this out, I did realize that I wasn't into the smaller, like tiny photos, even though it's easier to keep up with because it's a weekly layout rather than daily. But my emphasis really is on photos, I realize. So the really small, like photos, they just didn't showcase um like what I wanted to see very well. It's good for like an overview kind of thing, but I didn't have like individual big photos showcase, so I didn't really like that. I just realized that I don't like the weeklies. I don't like the vertical layout. I would rather just go back to dailies and keep it simple. Um, And that's pretty much why for 2023, I just decided to go for the Hobonichi cousin. And part of it was FOMO because I saw people doing the weeklies in the Hobonichi cousin with like, pen only, cute stickers and all that kind of stuff. And I did that for like a month or something. And then realized that it just took up so much time and I didn't really care for that in my memory keeping. So I ended up just having all blank like weeklies in the Hobonichi Cousin and really just using the dailies. And at the time, I had a newborn baby. So in the beginning, I started doing like a lot of still writing and journaling along with the photos and things. But more and more as time went on, like that year, it really just became a photo book. So it was like when I had photos that I wanted to add, I would print them out, add them in, and then add a caption maybe or something. But I wasn't really doing really in depth journaling or like long form journaling as I did before. So then after that year in 2024, I decided to ditch the dates completely so that I wasn't forced to add something like on a daily page every single day, even if I didn't have something. Because in the Hobonichi cousin, what I ended up doing was sometimes like covering up the dates and using multiple pages for like an entry and trying to like, you know, DIY it in a way, and I just realized like I didn't want the dates. So for 2024, I used the MD paper one day, one page, which still is dated in the sense that it has the months up front. So you could like jot down things quickly to get an overview on the monthly calendars. But really, it was just a whole bunch of undated pages. So you could enter an entry whenever you wanted. And that's pretty much what I did. I went much more minimal and it just made it easy for myself to keep it up, of course. And an entry is usually just prompted by me wanting to add a particular photo or photos. And so I would print them out, I would add it in and date the page, and it would be a mix of photos, deco, and maybe a little blurb or caption, if you want to call it that. And that's pretty much what my documentation turned into. I suppose it's more of like a glorified photo album as opposed to the long form journaling entries or emotions or thoughts that might have been included in years past. And mostly because I was forced to do that dated, entry. So oftentimes you'd have to search for other things to, quote unquote, memory keeping about, even if you didn't have like a photo or a particular, entry to add in. And so I'm realizing that this memory keeping notebook for me, it's turned into more like a high level highlights kind of thing for photos that my kids really enjoy flipping through and the family as well. So it's not really a place for, quote unquote, personal journaling or reflections kind of thing. So for 2025, I am using my Elysian paper cover for my MD frame notebook. And by the way, I totally stained my cover somehow. It's undyed leather, but I don't know. I got like some black spots on the inside. I don't really know what happened. Let me know if you know how to clean it up. But right now, I just haven't done anything, and I'm like, ugh, why did I do this? But right now, the cover is very loose because obviously I have a very thin notebook here. But I think that it will be fine because as the notebook bulks up, it will still fit in here. So the MD paper notebook that I chose just has a frame on all the pages. It looks very like field notes kind of style, which I think is really cool. And it's not as scary as having like a totally blank notebook. But of course, there are no dates. You're just like adding in entries as you see fit. And that's sort of exactly what I need. And what I'm doing, anyways. So, scrap anything dated or monthly calendars or anything like that. Just when I have a photo or photos that I want to add, I print them out, I add them to the page, then I date my page. I can even title it and, add my deco and caption journaling, whatever I want. And that's that. So that's my plan for 2025 in the memory keeping arena. I hope it has been interesting to see like the different A5 options and notebooks that I've used and also the different ways that you can document life and memory keep. I know that some people like the dated because it does force them to do something even if it's not a photo. So there's really a big spectrum of One being more of a straight photo album with captions, or going into more like personal journaling, commentary, that kind of thing. So let me know down in the comments if you do memory keeping and what size you prefer and what kind of memory keeping you actually do. It's interesting to hear what people like to document. So I wish you a lovely day and thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye.